A very, very warm welcome to everyone that is listening today. Thank you so much for joining the Peaceful Warrior podcast featuring our Mom Space interviews. I hope you will enjoy today's talk with Nikki Anderson. Nikki, do I have you?
I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You made it.
Yes.
Speaking of warm welcomes, it is a warm September day, and you have been all out and about in this day today. Is that correct?
Yes. I had to run a few quick errands between calls, so I am super grateful to be here and be included in such a powerful movement here.
Yes, girl. You ready?
Yes.
You are always ready. One thing I will give Nikki, honey, is you are always ready to go. Like, hey, let's do it. Where we at? Where we're going? I just really adore your family, and I I had a question for you off the bat that I don't think I've ever asked before, and I really kind of want to know. When you were growing up, and you had your siblings and your mom and your dad, did you say, like, I want a big family growing up, or were you kind of like, I think I'm gonna wait to have kids? What was your childhood as a little girl being towards, a family when she got older?
Ooh, I would definitely say it isn't something that I desired as a little girl. Truth be told, like growing up, I wasn't a dolls girl, so I didn't like play house and family and things like that. But I will say this, as I got older, and I would say, final years of high school, college, I was very much more in tune with what I wanted to do with my career versus immediately starting a family. I think in seeing the work it takes, right, for, my parents who've been together, over 40 years or married over 40 years, seeing my older brothers, with their different family dynamics, right? It just didn't, I'll be honest, it didn't feel appealing, right? That wasn't like I need to have a baby by the time I'm this age kind of, pull towards me. So I cannot say I had a viewpoint in my mind of like, this is what I want as far as being a mom, being a wife, like, this is the kind of house I want. Like,
No, I think you might have known what kind of house you wanted now.
Oh, yeah. You
just didn't know how full it was going to be.
Absolutely. You think of, and I've always been that person that kind of thinks in the moment, right? And I think even, we've talked before about, even how our paths crossed. You helped me to start thinking about like, but what do you want? What do you need? What are your talents and gifts? Like, that was the first time I really had, I won't say the encouragement, but permission, right? To think beyond like just myself and what was relevant to me. So yeah, it was hard to see that as, a young girl, because what I saw, it didn't look easy, it didn't look fun. I was just like, ooh,
yes,
nope.
And you are very like logistical, like you're gonna want to see the path, for you to claim it. And I'm just so glad that you're being so transparent and honest about it. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask the question, because even though I've never just illicitly asked, me and you were kind of similar in that thought, and so I think that a lot of things that we've even done together and experienced together and shared with one another has like been so much growth involved over the years as we started introducing children, because, I was pretty much that same kind of way. Like, I was like, hey, that could definitely wait. That's kind of my thought. Like, that can wait a little while. But, we take for granted that, all girls are dreaming of a family, dreaming of, this one way of living life. And that's not always the case. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to have the family, you're not going to have the children, but just your viewpoint on it starting out is definitely a little bit more unique. And it's good for others that have that process in their life to know that there are other people out there as well that didn't say, hey, this is what I'm going to do as soon as I'm 18 or as soon as I'm out of my parents' house. I'm going to make that happen. So I'm so grateful that you were able to share that. And like I said, I do adore your family. Let me know. You said your older brothers. How old were you when your siblings started becoming parents?
Ooh, I think
because you're the baby, right? Not
yeah,
so you. Okay.
I'm the youngest, and my brother is 12. So my brother that has children, he is 12 years older than me. And and I recall being I would say a sophomore in high school when he married his first wife. And she already had an infant, but he adopted her, right? So that was my first close encounter with someone that was like a new parent, a young person that was like a new parent. So I would say 16, and then by 18 he had another baby with the wife.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was relatively young, but like at that young, kind of fresh age where it's like, I got shit to do. I am not.
Were you babysitting a lot? Were you participating?
Girl, no, no. Because here's the thing: like in that age range, I was still in high school, but super active in like different sports, dance. Like I had 2 part-time jobs, so I wasn't asked to do it. And let me be honest, I didn't volunteer to do it.
You wasn't volunteering. You wasn't a volunteer auntie.
No, not at all.
But that is a relatively young age to be an aunt in the first place. Biologically, what it meant. My brother had some kids, but just as far as what kind of aunt you were going to be, you were a little young to be trying to sort all that out, I think. And I think you more than make up for all of it now anyways.
Oh yes, yeah. I see them and keep them all the time.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And now it's meaningful even for them because they have their own personalities. They some of them like to do certain things with me. And some don't, right? Well, I won't say some don't. My brother has 5, right?
Okay.
And 3 of which are grown. The other 2 are 12. So some of my closeness with the adult nieces and nephews, like they're, it has changed a lot because they're living their little, 20-something-year-old lives.
Right. So. Wow. So switching gears then, I want to get on your young king, your son. Now, I know that baby be asking for some siblings. How old is he now?
Oh, my goodness. So Jackson is 4. He'll be 5 in March.
4.
And, he's very... It's funny because he likes that he has a sibling, from his dad, but he wants me to himself. Like, he does not want to share. It's been times where I have asked Jackson, do you want to be a big brother? He said, no, but if I have to, I'm okay. So
that is like an answer you would give, though. That is so you, like, no, not a preference, but we'll make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's very overprotective of me, and even if he feels I'm giving my attention too much in another area, he has to come and sit right near me or share a moment with me, right? Or ask me about what I'm doing. So I don't know that he's ready. I think when he starts elementary, I think then I'll see a little more independence, and maybe then he might give me permission, right, to to grant him
Allow
that
another
blessing.
human being
Yes.
in his
Yes.
space. He's so adorable. And I ask that because I feel like he's probably surrounded, by your siblings' children. When you spend time with your family, it's probably a lot of them together at various ages. Is he pretty much the youngest one?
Yes, he is
Yeah.
the baby of all the grands.
Yes.
I do have a niece that's a couple of months older than him, so
Okay.
they're both 4 right now, but they are
Okay.
the youngest. Above those two are the 12-year-olds.
That's
So,
a huge gap.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I
Yes.
think it's great though that he's constantly involved, and I love that when you all communicate, you're always making sure emotionally that you're addressing him. I love
Oh,
that about you all's relationship. Tell me, why do you do that? Why is that so important to you?
if I'm transparent, right? I didn't get that. I
Okay,
didn't get
got
that
it.
growing up. If I go back to some of my earliest memories, or even some of the later ones in my last years in my parents' home, I didn't get to have a voice or to like share my true
Mhm.
feelings, or I wasn't asked like, how does that make you feel, or any of those things, right? And I see, in, I would say, in the last 10 years of like going to therapy, becoming a life coach and studying different niches, right, where you think you want to land. It's just been apparent to me, right, that part of what has kept my feet in cement in so many different scenarios is not feeling comfortable saying how I feel, in almost a fear that either it won't be heard, it won't be respected, or that it'll be minimized.
Mm,
I don't think that was the intention of my parents,
of course not.
but it did make me feel as though, you better be very sure that what you're about to say adds value, or
Right.
don't say anything at all, right? And
Right.
I never want that for Jackson. Not I want him to have discipline of what he verbalizes, of course, but I also want him to know that this is a safe space for you to say how you feel. Allow me the opportunity to hear that, and ensure that I tell you that, your truth is not a matter of punishment, right? But it makes me more aware, so I know how to keep boundaries with you in your area of comfort, and I also know how to be respectful of you, because what you say is a boundary. How you feel is a boundary. And I always want him to know that he has that with me. I'm not going to violate that. But if there's something that's just impossible to accommodate, or there needs to be compromise, then I make sure he understands the why behind that, because that is, I didn't get that, right? If I didn't like something, my parents were like, well, I'm so sorry. This is what it is.
Right.
Um,
Right. And even to go a little bit deeper on that, and tell me if we're going too deep, I am
mhm.
curious, when your parents see you addressing him in a different manner than what they
Mhm.
may have done, do they ever say anything or make any comments or just ask about it at all?
Yes. So I would say my dad is the least verbal. He's the more physical parent,
Right.
in which, he worked a lot, but he was basically, in my eyes, as I look back, like the disciplinarian, right? So for him to see me interacting with Jackson, there are certain things that he's like, oh, that's a lot of affection, or that's, stop babying him, or those kind of things, right?
Right.
Because he wants him to be so tough. And my mom will say, I wish I had that dynamic, growing up with my mom. And that, it's emotional to hear it,
Yeah.
because you don't really know how what she grew up in made, how it shaped her,
Exactly.
right? I think I look back at my mom, and I see that there were times where I wanted so badly to share something with her, but she just didn't seem present.
Hmm.
And so that really made me feel like I was on an island sometimes, because you have to think my brother was, 12
So
years
much
older than me. So by the
older.
time I got to,
Hmm.
middle school, high school, he was already out of the house in college or working, working at that point. And then my sister, by the time I got to ninth grade, she had just graduated. She's 4 years older than me. So I'm in the house alone, and for the first time, my parents are kind of feeling like they can breathe, right? I don't have three kids trying to go to activities
Right,
and
like,
all these things. Yeah, so again, it was very much like, you get a car when you're 16, I don't have to drive you. Like, it was very much like a, now we can breathe.
yeah,
So
you got it. You got it.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. So it's weird to hear her verbalize it, right? But it also is refreshing that
That's
she
great though.
recognizes it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. And it makes me wonder too, do you think it would have been the same had you had a daughter instead of a son? Or let's say later on you do decide to have a daughter, as if we
Hmm.
can really pick these things. But I'm just
Right.
saying, let's say that was to occur. Do you think the approach would be different for you with a daughter, or even the grandparent, your father? Do you think it would still be about being tough if it was a daughter?
Oh no, no. With my dad, he is, as tender as he needs to be with the girls, right? But with the boys, it is, get in this yard,
Right.
come do this. Let's put this together. Like, so he very much is like, I want to teach him to be, hands good with his hands.
Yes.
I want him to, find solutions, right? Don't just give up. Find solutions. So he is very much that kind of, dad that, or
Yeah.
grandparent, right? That adjust to the gender. Now, to the emotional needs, I don't think my dad has or will put a lot of energy into that, right? Because it's like, he is who he is.
Right.
Now he will be a little bit more delicate with how he handles the girls, but
Right.
for the boys, he absolutely is very firm. um for my approach though, if I were to have a daughter, I think I would still give her the space to be vocal, right? But I do believe that I would, kind of temperature check, what are her emotional needs, because every child is different, right? Some need a little more or a little less of certain things. So I would really be curious to see what her demeanor is, because the women in my family have a history of being quite vocal, right? So for me, not feeling comfortable with that until I got older, that was different, right? I was known as the quiet cousin, the
Mm.
quiet kid, until I became an adult. So that
Yeah, because you're not quiet no more.
no, not at all. Not
Oh
at
my
all.
goodness.
Yeah, eventually we all find our wings, right?
This is true, and we fly, and you are soaring. And speaking of soaring, I want to ask you, now that you're in your life coaching endeavors, and it's so good to see you doing that. Do you feel like you're in a better place now that you're a mom to actually help others in that capacity? Do you feel like having a child kind of rounds that out for you, even if it's just simple like empathy, with the people that you're coaching that have kids? Do you think that
Mhm.
it's kind of helped you be a little bit more approachable and well-rounded for the task?
I think it adds a layer, right? It definitely adds a layer of relatability for me. Seeing it is one thing, experiencing it is another. So it absolutely deepened my empathy and added a layer of, I would say, compassion
Mm,
for what the additional complexities might look like for somebody else.
exactly.
Um, yeah, normally when people come to me for coaching, they need a push, right? And they need to, I would say this, the number one thing that I have helped people to get past is guilt.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say excuses. Okay.
No,
I want to
guilt.
hear about the guilt though. I think we all have that. What can you share about that?
So I think that most people, right? And you're not wrong about the excuses part either, right? But I think even the excuses come from a place of fear that the change they make will change how other
They come to
people
life.
look at them,
Take
or
everything.
the respect, or it will change.
Yeah.
It's the change that other people have to
Mm,
accept
mm.
or let go of or embrace, that people are often they feel guilty about, like changing what's comfortable to those around them. And
Yes.
so it can affect their children, right? So then they feel like, is it selfish to
Should we
put
still
myself
do?
first? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's is it selfish to change industries and start over? Now I got to ask my partner to pay more of the bills while I build my way back up. Like, so there's a lot of guilt in change that people don't realize they hold on to. But I have this practice where, okay, you give me the excuse number one, right? And I say, but why is that? But why would that stop you?
Mm,
Right. And then they give me the answer and I say, okay, so why is that more important than you? And when
mm,
they give that answer, I say, okay, so then why don't you feel you deserve that?
mm.
Right. Like, so when you start to peel those layers back and help people to realize how powerful you are when you step into your own, how much more you give and can pour into other things and other people you love when you step into your own and you're living your truth that is also purpose driven. Like, you're untouchable.
But it's
You're lit-
scary, right? Because we're talking
Mhm,
about guilt, but guilt can be a really scary thing to experience.
mhm,
To have it on you, especially with responsibilities. I think as moms in general, and I've said this before, um,
mhm,
that guilt, it's serious. So I'm glad that you're helping moms through that guilt. And I just actually love it. I love it. And I could go deeper and further, but I do try to keep these around 20 minutes. And I know we're getting there now. So
mhm,
I'm gonna stop. We might have to do a part two or something. I really want to get into this.
mhm,
But one of the things that I do like to ask everybody before I do wrap these episodes
mhm.
is, what does ask and ye shall receive mean to you or for you? Ask and ye shall receive.
So I guess I hear it two ways, right? Because I do believe in God, and I do believe that you have to be very clear and specific on what you want to come to pass. But I also think that you have to ask yourself permission to be open to receive that, right? Be open to it, be ready for it. And then you can receive, because you can ask for a number of blessings and opportunities, and still not give yourself permission to feel you deserve it or to fully embrace it, right? So that's twofold for me, but that's what it means for me. That's how I practice it in life, and that's how I try and encourage others to do the same in their life as well.
I love it. Be open to receiving it. That is a
Mhm.
important element of the receiving. Is just being open for it. You can't hug somebody with closed arms. So
Right.
I just love that thought, and I'm gonna leave the embrace right there with you today, and just want to thank you so much for even squeezing in this time to even make this happen. I know you were dropping some gems, and there's some things that people are going to hear today and just say, man, I feel a little bit better understood. I really like that one practice and process that you use with your clients. I think that'll be helpful for a lot of us. So thank
Mhm.
you again for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, and let me know if the feedback is they want a part two. I'm ready to be questioned.
Yeah, you already
Pro.
know. I
But it's an
sure
extreme
will.
pleasure, definitely a pleasure. And I'm just sending love to all the moms, whether single moms, partnered moms, whatever. It is not easy. I take my hat off to you, and you are not in it alone. We are all navigating this thing together. So hang in there, be strong, and think positive, moms.